And so possibly the biggest contingency for you as the buyer is coming up here on page 4 is the inspection. So always, always, always have an inspection, okay? There are very limited circumstances that I can think of that you would not want to have one, but just do it. It's going to be $350 to $400, and it's going to be the best money you ever spent for 2 reasons. If there's something wrong that you would like the seller to fix, that's another negotiating point, and they'll fix it, and so you just saved yourself a little bit of time and money later down the road because they fixed it. Or if something was found that was so bad that nobody knew about, you can tuck your tail and run from that property. And you may think, oh, I just spent $400 on inspection that I can't use on a property, and now we're starting over, and you're frustrated. That's the best money you ever spent, because you could have made a $120,000 mistake, and all you had to do was pay $400. So always, always, always have a home inspection. And there's certain parameters to do that, obviously. So usually 15 days is enough time for you to contact a home inspector to get them out there and for them to get the report back to you, then for us to talk about it, and then for us to formulate a response to the seller making requests for repairs or price reduction or something like that. So that's usually 15 days. Depending on how busy the market's kind of going, some inspectors are booked up, a week and a half in advance. Some have, an appointment canceled, and all of a sudden they say, yeah, I can be there tomorrow, this will fit right in. So, but be kind of expecting at least maybe a week or so for them to get out there. And they're going to, in a normal, what I would consider a normal sized home, they're going to be there 2.5 to 3 hours. And they're going to check everything. They're going to run the water almost that entire time. They're going to check the switches, the outlets, the breaker boxes. They're going to flip stuff on, flip stuff off. We'll crawl in the attic if they have access. If it's a crawl space that they can fit, they're going to crawl down in there. I mean, they're really going to go through things. I mean, you're paying them very good money in order to do that. And so after all that's done, I usually don't suggest that you're there the entire time for that, because you're going to be sitting around for 3 hours watching this guy work, okay? And if it's a vacant home, there's no chair to sit in, so it's going to be kind of boring. However, I would talk to them about being there maybe for the last 20 minutes or so, what they would think the last 20 minutes or so would be for them. That way, they're basically done with everything. They're compiling their notes, things like that, and they can say, yeah, we found a few things. Well, just for instance, let me go take you and look at this over here. That's an easier way to present it to you than in a report form. And so if you're there the last few minutes of that could be an opportunity. Just ask them on the front end to make sure that's available. In the current COVID environment, some have stopped doing that, so just ask, see what they say. But after they're done and after they go back to their office, you can usually pump out that report either that night, depending on the time they were at the house, or the next day. And so you're going to get this report, and just promise me not to freak out, okay? Because these reports are highly, highly detailed, and they show multiple pictures of a problem. And there's always a problem. There's always going to be something wrong with the house. There is no such thing as a perfect house. Even with new construction, I highly advise people to get their inspections done, and there is always something that comes up. So just don't freak out. It's our job to try to figure out what's majorly important to you. So is it a health or safety issue? Is one of the big items getting ready to croak? Your furnace, your air conditioner? Is the foundation bad? Is the roof leaking? Things like that. High dollar items or safety issues is kind of what I gear you towards. So if one of those things, is a major concern for you, we would like to see it addressed, and we will ask for that. I advise clients not to get too ticky-tacky. Okay, so you can say, hey, there's a brick that's chipped on the sidewalk out here on the paver patio. We would like that all redone. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, don't ask for it. again, the big things, I'm just looking out my window. Broken window, ask for it, okay? Safety issue, it's going to cost you more utilities down the road. So the report that you're going to get, I would say a normal report is maybe 50 to 60 pages long. Like I said, he goes over this house with a fine-tooth comb, and you're paying him to do that. There are some inspectors out there that take this very seriously, and they pump out a 120-page report. That could have been 60 pages. So some have reputations like that. And if you choose one of those, I'm just going to let you know up front, hey, he does a fine job, but I'm going to let you know his reports are ultra detailed. Please don't freak out when he sends you a 100-page report. Okay, so we'll talk about it. And if you don't know any inspectors, I have a few names and numbers you can call. You know, I'm not gonna say you have to use this inspector. That's not my job. Okay, I want you to be comfortable with the inspector that you choose. I highly encourage you to ask coworkers, parents, friends, you know, somebody that's recently bought a home. It's like, who did you use? How did you like them? You can price check, you can check reviews, stuff like that. And like I said, we deal with all of them. And so the only thing different between them may be a little bit of price difference, not much, honestly. And then if I know you're dealing with, you know, one of the ultra picky ones, I'll just let you know, hey, be prepared. It's going to be a long report, and we'll get through it. So now I'm going to spend a lot of time on inspections because it's really important. If something is majorly wrong, by the letter of the law here, and I'm trying to find the line. Okay, if a defect is identified, the buyer must first provide the inspection report or the relevant parts, and then give the seller the opportunity to remedy the defects. That's what it says. So we have to say, Mr. Seller, the north foundation wall is crumbling. We didn't know about that. You know, you need to fix it, or we're going to cancel the contract. That's how this is written. Okay, we need to give them the opportunity to do that. However, if there are just multiple major things wrong, and you are just not going to buy this house, we need to have that discussion, and there may be a way to address that a little differently than what this is telling us. Okay, I'll just let you know. We have been successful in that, saying, look all this stuff that's wrong. It's going to cost you or I, you know, half the value of the house to do it. Let's just you know, go our separate ways. So that doesn't happen a whole lot. You get some surprises every once in a while, but you know, if something's majorly wrong, you can usually tell just in your walkthrough if, you know, the floors are all wavy, or you can look at the roof and you see a bunch of ceiling spots in the ceiling, stuff like that. But you know, there can be surprises. If you're buying a country home and they find out the septic system is failing, that's a big surprise. I'm not going to know that by walking through the house. So speaking of that, so up to this point we're just talking about a general home inspector. Again, $350, $400, something like that. Now, depending on the property you're purchasing, I just mentioned a country home, so they're going to have a septic tank and they're going to have a well, which is totally different from what's in town. Okay, so I would advise to get a septic inspection of some sort, and there's different levels of that, and a water test for that well. And so as you're adding inspections, you're also adding the cost, just to let you know. So when we moved from town to the country, and so all of a sudden we do have the septic, and we have things like that. You know, I kind of abide by my own rules, and I paid for a lot of inspections. So I had the general, I had the septic, and there's actually 2 wells on the property. I had them both tested just so I would know. And then we do have a small basement, and we also got a radon test performed. And so I just wanted to be, you know, I'm moving my family into this house. I wanted everything to be safe for them. And so I was willing at that point to basically pay a little bit more for some more inspections and some higher level stuff. So radon, we can talk about that another time. If you're concerned about it, Google it, and we'll talk about specifics. But that's just another inspection you can have.